Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a shorter video, but one that I felt the need to put out. Today is May the 26th, 2026, exactly 100 years since Miles Davis was born. We are celebrating his centennial today in the vinyl community. What a what an influential person, not only to the world of jazz, but also to rock and roll, to society. Miles kind of paved the way for, you know, cool types of jazz in the 50s and 60s. Obviously, moving into the 70s with stuff like In a Silent Way, Kilimanjaro, Bitches Brew, all of these fusion-y kind of albums that people like Carlos Santana and the Grateful Dead were listening to. Just really, really cool stuff. And he was never somebody to really look back. He was always moving forward. If you look at set lists, right up to when Miles passed, he was not doing, stuff from his heyday. He was doing the now. He was sticking with what was on his musical heart at that time. All that to say, I am by no means a jazz expert, to the lack of a better term. I'm a big fan of jazz, and I know what I like when I hear jazz. All that to say, I can't tell you the differences in the different quintets. I can't tell you necessarily the subgenres of jazz, hard bop, bebop, all of this stuff. I'm not qualified for that at all. Again, I like what I like. A lot of the jazz that I like stems from my early love of big band music that my dad got me into as a kid. And I'm really always thinking about that kind of music this time of year. We just had Memorial Day here in the States, and then moving into the 4th of July. I always associate big band and jazz music with the summertime. So I listen to a lot of that stuff this time of year. I first really had Miles on my radar. I went to a record shop with some family members, and I'd always heard about Miles Davis's album Kind of Blue, which I have right here. And forgive me, I just have the CDs. Kind of Blue by Miles was kind of the pinnacle of what people would associate Miles with. They said, if you want to get into Miles, you've got to hear Kind of Blue. And so I picked this CD up used at a record store in town. Again, I had no idea what to listen to. Looking at the names on the personnel list, I knew John Coltrane, and that was about it. I didn't know Cannonball Adderley. I did not know Bill Evans, Paul Chambers, Jimmy Cobb, Wynton Kelly. I didn't know any of those guys. I didn't really know Miles Davis, but I listened to this album several times and loved it. It's just got that great sound when you hear that song, So What, with that Bill Evans kind of hook on the piano. It reminds me of summer nights. And I'm not talking to you, John Travolta. I love this record, and I listen to it all the time. As a result of that, I then wanted to get into more quote traditional jazz, not just big band. So I bought A Love Supreme by John Coltrane. I bought Time Out by Dave Brubeck. I got into Thelonious Monk with his album Solo Monk. I remember listening to a lot of jazz on my computer while I was at work, at my job that I was working at that time. I was getting into Bill Evans. I'd never really gotten into Bill Evans. Listening to Waltz for Debbie, his version of Miles Davis's Nardis was just, I was taking in these people and then looking at the cross pollination of oh, I've got a Paul Chambers record, I've got a Cannonball Adderley record, and knowing that if they're associated with Miles in this period, I'm probably going to like it. And that's pretty much been the case with my jazz collection. Now, I've branched out from that. I'm really big into the Black Jazz label, and those reissues that are put out by Real Gone Music with kind of the more funky jazz, the organ jazz, guitar jazz. I love Kenny Burrell. I love things like Stan Getz, Vince Guaraldi, Oscar Peterson, obviously the vocal jazz with Chet Baker and Nat King Cole and Frank Sinatra, Aretha Franklin, Louis Armstrong, all of that stuff I love. I'm always looking, collecting these records whenever I see them for a good price. But Miles, in particular, the three albums that I wanted to talk about, Kind of Blue. Also, this very early album, Around About Midnight, I just listened to the other day. Absolutely love it. He does a version of Bye Bye Blackbird and All of You. The song Around Midnight's fantastic, from 1955. Kind of Blues from 59. Just fantastic, smooth stuff. Again, you've got Coltrane, Red Garland, Paul Chambers, and Philly Joe Jones. I love the early Miles stuff. I'm still very hesitant with the kind of I don't even know what you want to call it, more like the Muzak Miles Davis. Once you started getting into like Tutu and stuff, getting into the 70s and 80s, late 70s, early 80s. I love this stuff like On the Corner. I think that's really, really interesting to listen to. It's not an everyday thing, but I do enjoy it. I do like to listen to that. My favorite Miles Davis album is Sketches of Spain. It's got that flamenco style. He was listening to a lot of this stuff at the time. Just this whole record is a feel. It's kind of got that concept record feel, even though it's all instrumental. The Panpiper, Solea, Will o' the Wisp, all fantastic tunes. The first song, Concierto de Aranjuez, hope I pronounced that right, the Adagio. It's fantastic. But he was doing this with Gil Evans, who, was kind of the guy back in the 60s. This is just one of those records to me that I can listen to this anytime. It's by far my favorite Miles Davis record. I would love to get this on vinyl and really listen to it for how it's intended. But my Miles CD collection is happy to have it. But again, I'm not a jazz cat. I'm not a jazz nerd. I'm not qualified to go into the depths of those records and what makes them good, what makes them progressive, whatever you want to say. I'm not the guy for that. But I wanted to put out a video and say thank you, Miles, for 100 years of music. Not really, 80 something years of good music. And yeah, if you don't know Miles, you can't go wrong with any of those early Miles records. Again, Kind of Blue, Around Midnight, the stuff like Steamin', Relaxin', Miles Smiles, all that stuff is great. He also does, Porgy and Bess, which that's a great soundtrack. He does My Funny Valentine. That's a really good live record. So there's lots of good stuff out there that you can find that's not too scary to jump into. But if you are looking to be a little bit more adventurous, obviously you have Miles in the Sky, Kilimanjaro, Bitches Brew, On the Corner, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, happy birthday, Miles. 100 years. And what a legacy. But all right, that does it for me. In the meantime, y'all be good, take care, and we will see you on the next one. Bye now.